Mexico City and Bogota, two of the largest capitals of the Latin American region, both cities in which we have lived previously. Today we're going to discuss which one is better to live in. And if you have been to both, let us know which one do you like the most, Bogota or Mexico City? And if you haven't been to any of those, which one are you most curious about?
Mexico City really surprised us because it felt really familiar to the two of us, especially in contrast to Bogota. Bogota is where we really have our home base these days, and we've lived more or less 3 years in Bogota, Colombia. And when we went to go spend about a month inside Mexico City this past year in 2024, it really stuck out to us. It felt so familiar because there are so many things that are the same between Bogota and Mexico City. So we really want to jump into all those little incremental details.
Let's begin with one of the most important aspects, cost of living. Which one is more affordable?
Well, let's look at rent. So when we were in Mexico City for a month, we stayed in Navarre.
Navarte Poniente.
Gracias, thank you. So we stayed there in a apartment that was on the bottom level on the Planta Baja or Baja Planta.
Planta Baja.
Gracias. And it was a very uncomfortable apartment with a very tiny kitchen. The couch was a foam couch that was half the size of what we're sitting on right now. And we spent just under $1,200 to be in that apartment for a month. And everything that we noticed that we would have preferred that would be comparable to what you're seeing in this shot right here, because we are in Bogota, Colombia, it would have been probably $1,500 to $2,000 for the month. But we just wanted to save some money for all these other activities that we did. So we felt that evidently Mexico City is a lot more expensive than Bogota, especially because right now we're in this apartment spending about $900, utilities included, furnished,
It's
nice
also
area.
more popular area, so it's a nicer area than where we stayed in Mexico City. So although Navarre Poniente was really close to Polanco, Condesa, it was still a good 20-minute walk. And it wasn't as popular with the foreigners, that area. It was a lot more local. There wasn't that much to do. So there were not as many cafes and restaurants as you would see in the Condesa area.
Yes.
However, now that we are in Bogota, in the Cedritos area, this area is very, very popular.
Yeah. But switching to costs and affordability for food, we felt in grocery shopping that groceries were slightly more expensive in Mexico City as well. So in general, Mexico City is not as affordable as Bogota. And so the verdict goes to Bogota in this case. Woo, yay!
We're doing verdicts?
Yeah,
I guess we're doing verdicts.
Safety. Which city is more safe?
Well, I think this depends on the perception of safety and all of the news and what everyone around you tells you about the city. We went to Mexico City with no warnings and we felt incredibly safe. We walked around a lot in the city. We never saw anything and we felt just
At ease?
At ease, exactly.
I saw people using their phone in the street, more so than I have seen in Bogota. I still see parts of Bogota where they use the phone in the street. But when things got a little more grungy and a little bit more like, should I be here? I saw less phone usage.
Yes.
But I felt that they are equal.
They're very equal. However, I think there's a lot of petty theft here in Bogota too, especially with the motorcycles. And there are a lot of motorcycles here, a lot. So I feel unease whenever I hear a motorcycle coming because that's how I got robbed.
Yeah, that's how a lot of people get robbed in Bogota.
Yes. And I felt a lot more at ease in Mexico City because you don't see as many motorcycles. So I would not hear the motorcycles coming and I would not be all tense and afraid.
Yeah, but even our host of the Airbnb we stayed in, we got to speak with her for a little bit. She was saying that, it's dangerous to just use your phone on the sidewalk, right? Which is common for us. So we take a lot of precaution. We don't really use our phone in the street, and we always make a plan of exactly where we're walking to. And we also decide sometimes to leave the phone at home because we may not necessarily need it. Although we did that once and got lost.
Yes, we did. But we also choose not to wear anything flashy, so we just go about our lives as normal.
Yep. So who
So,
wins?
but it's a
Who's the
tie.
better?
It's a tie.
It's a tie on this one.
Let's talk about transportation, which makes a big difference when you're living in a big city long term.
There are 12 metro lines in Mexico City. There are 0 in Bogota, Colombia.
We have no metro.
Right off the bat, Mexico City was already way better. And it was way better because we took the bus one time, just once.
So wait, the metro system is complemented with bus systems, which it makes it even better. And so we did take the bus.
Yeah, we took the
system
bus
once.
once, and I thought it was really easy to get on, whereas the Transmillennial in Bogota isn't always easy to get on. You have to like walk a big bridge, and there's a lot of walking involved to get over this big busy street to get into the middle lane for the metro, like the
Transmillennial.
Transmillennial. So I felt that transportation was a lot easier to get onto in Mexico City. Plus, the way some things are designed inside Mexico City are just easy, making it easier for pedestrians to get to the metro and
Yeah.
or the buses.
I also loved in Mexico City that there are wagons or part of the buses that are for women only. And as a woman, I highly appreciate that, especially when the bus is very crowded and you don't have guys behind your ass.
Gross men
Disgusting.
groping you in public.
Exactly. And so that was a major plus. Also, I mean, you just mentioned it, Bogota does not have a metro. So you can even compare it. So the verdict goes to
Mexico City.
from the beginning. We didn't even have to discuss it.
Food, my favorite topic. Which city wins?
I mean, this is a clear winner. But I mean, let's talk about food. The food culture in Mexico City is a little bit different because there is a big street food culture. So you see taco stands and food stands everywhere. You can literally sit down and have a really nice meal at one of those food stands, which you don't really see in Bogota. You do see some of the street food, but it's mostly like empanadas, arepa huevo. So kind of like easy food to go eat, and you don't see that as much.
Yeah, for me, what really sticks out, I mean, it's Mexico, right? So it's all about the peppers and just the use of the peppers and mole and all these just spices and flavors. And I'm from Texas. I grew up in Texas next to Mexico. I actually thought that I had tried Mexican food growing up until I went to Mexico and spent some time there. And I'm like, no, this is like another
You've only
level of
had
flavor.
Tex-Mex.
Yeah, I've only had Tex-Mex. But I miss the peppers and spice because we do have peppers and spice in Texas. So to me, like Mexican food just blows all Colombian food out of the water left and right because half the time I'm in Colombia, I'm like, oh, please pass me the salt. Do you have any pimiento? ¿Tiene algo ají? Because
Tiene algo picante.
picante porque está muy bland. ¿Cómo se dice bland?
Sin sabor.
So for me, in terms of flavor, like Mexico wins overall versus Colombia. So
And it's not just flavor, it's also Mexico City has a more established global cuisine scene. So we went to a Thai restaurant that was amazing food in Mexico City. And here in Bogota, we haven't really been able to find a good pho.
all across the world, we have visited multiple countries, even in the United States. You can go to a major city center where there are restaurants and you will see a Mexican restaurant, right? You will find more than one. But I've never gone to a major city ever outside of Colombia that's like, oh, we have Colombian food. So that it just that's fact.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking about the food scene in each cities.
Mexico City.
I know. We're not talking about Mexican or Colombian food. We know how you feel about it.
Now the world knows how I feel about it.
No. Well, the verdict goes to who?
Mexico City.
Yes, I agree.
Next topic.
Culture and lifestyle. What's the vibe? What do you like? I mean, both cities are very large. So it is very possible that whatever you want to do, whatever you want to experience, you will be able to find it in both cities. Both cities have a very big nightlife, which we know nothing about because we don't go out night. We go to bed at 9:30 p.m.
And we like to wake up early and go to the gym or go for a hike.
We do know about gym culture. I like the gym culture in Bogota better than I liked in Mexico City. Mexico City, people were not putting away stuff in the gym, and it was chaotic.
And every single one, every gym, because we went to a couple to shop them, and they all were crowded. Every single one. Of them.
Every single one.
They're crowded in Bogota too, but we can find some that are not as crowded.
Yes. But to speak to that, whatever vibe you feel, whatever vibe you are, you're probably going to be able to experience it in either or city.
Yeah, I felt that they were just both very similar because, they're Spanish-speaking countries. They're very large populations. Mexico City does have double the population of what Bogota has. Mexico City is about 20 million, and Bogota is about 10 million.
That probably explains why they have 150 museums.
Yes.
They have the most number of museums in the whole Americas.
But there's still a vibe in both cities. And so I can't really compare and say one is better than the other. It just depends on what you enjoy. So to us, who wins? What's the verdict?
Well, for me, I love Bogota because I love the vibe of Bogota because I do feel like it has more greener spaces. I love the mountains, so we live really close to the mountains. I can look at them every single day. We can go get lost very easily in one of those hikes in those mountains, so that's why I like it more. You?
I like it for the mountains, but I feel like in terms of a city, they were very similar.
Yeah.
For the things that I enjoy.
So verdict, it really is a tie again.
Yeah.
And it depends on you.
Yeah, that there's too much preference on that particular topic. Air quality. Who has the better air quality? Both cities have bad air quality. In fact, the cities that we like the most, Mexico City, Bogota, Santiago, Chile, they all have air pollution problems. We just like big cities, and that's a consequence of liking this. But in terms of Mexico versus Bogota, I felt that Mexico City had a much wider spread of bad air quality everywhere you went, and I could feel it in some of the places we went, and we went on a rooftop, that museum, Revolution Museum. I felt just
Museo
particles.
de la Revolución.
I felt particles hitting my eyes, and I was like, okay, I gotta actually wear glasses while I'm up here to protect myself, not just from the sun, but also for the particles. I haven't quite felt that everywhere I go inside Bogota. In fact, the thing that I noticed about Bogota is that there is this wind pattern that pushes all the wind towards the southern part of the city. And you can see this if you go for a hike on Maserate or any one of the senderos. And you'll notice that as the day goes by and you do the hike, you're going to see in the southern part, there's this accumulation of this dark smogginess that forms.
It's the southwestern part,
Yeah.
because the wind patterns actually they go from north to south and from east to west. So a lot of that pollution concentrates in the southwestern areas, which is where my grandma lives. And when we go there, you can really tell the difference.
Yeah, you can smell it. Sometimes I say Bogota smells like arepa and fumes.
But also, it helps that it rains a lot in Bogota, so it helps with all of that pollution. We'll get to that topic, your favorite weather. But just because of those couple reasons, I think Bogota has just a slightly better air quality.
Just slightly better.
Yeah. So the verdict goes to Bogota.
Bogota on this one.
I should clap for Mexico City too. I like Mexico. Yeah. Since we just mentioned weather, and Johnny is very passionate about weather, first food and then weather, let's talk about weather.
Let's look at some basic data. Bogota, on average, has 223 rainy days on average throughout the year. That's 60% of the days, calendar days, that get rain in Bogota. Mexico City is about half, 108 days. This is according to just typing and asking the question on Google. And then I come from a city, I grew up in Dallas, Texas, where the average number of rainy days per year is 80. So I'm used to the sunshine. So while we were in Mexico City in the months of between October and November. This past year, it's also a drier time in Mexico City. It was sunny most days. I only recall it raining twice while we were there in a month's period. That is not the case. That is definitely not the case in Bogota, Colombia. So there are days that it wears on my soul that It just rains so much. It's so cloudy here all the time. But on the flip
How do
side,
you want it to be so green?
but on the flip side, it is way greener in Bogota. Like I would say, like Colombia is one of the most green places I've seen. I mean, this is the tropics. We're four degrees north of the equator, 4 degrees latitude north of the equator. But for me, I prefer the weather in Mexico City because I do miss having a longer duration
Sunshine.
of sunshine. It does make it a little warmer during the day than Bogota, so Bogota can get a little bit cooler. But their climates are like so similar. Like it's very mild temperatures where it stays in the 60s or 70s year round. And I mean, I actually like the weather of both cities.
Yeah, I think it's a tie. I think it's a matter of preference. If you like the rain, you will love Bogota. If you love the sunshine, you will love Mexico City. But I also love the greenery of Bogota. So it's just a tie. I think living between the two places, that would be a really good balance.
Yeah. So the verdict for me is I like Mexico City weather better, and you
It's a tie for me.
is a tie for Whitney. You let us know which weather you like better. Water supply and infrastructure. Who has the freshest water?
There's no such thing as precious water. I mean, both cities have infrastructure issues and they have issues with water restrictions. However, we read a lot of news about Mexico City's water issues. They've had water issues for lots of years, especially in the outer neighborhoods. It's not common in the popular neighborhoods with the foreigners like Condesa and Polanco, but there are neighborhoods where they only have water twice a week, and it's a really big issue. Mexico City also has a big issue with all their infrastructure, pipes breaking, so they get less water and they lose a lot of water because of the infrastructure. And now recently in Bogota, we have experienced a lot of water restrictions.
Yes, we're
We
getting
get-
water restrictions about every 10 days.
Every
For
10
24
days.
hours.
Exactly. And it just has become an issue too, because those water restrictions are leading to more infrastructure issues. But they are trying to get the supply of water to levels that were previously
Sustainable.
established, that
Sustainable
are
levels.
sustainable for the density of the city, which it just continues to grow and grow and grow.
Yeah.
However, one of the big plus of Bogota is we still have drinkable tap water. We're one of the few cities in Latin America that continues to have drinkable tap water. That is not the case in Mexico City. You have to heavily rely on water filters, on the big gallons of water being
back there.
delivered to you.
We still get it here in Bogota because
I don't want to.
I still want to have clean water as possible to drink.
Yes. So the verdict, it goes to Bogota based on everything we've learned. And
Yeah,
we've
Bogota
read.
was slightly better in terms of like water scarcity. It is bad in both cities, but I do feel like the water is a lot fresher and cleaner here because we are close to the Chingaza region, which is where the water supply is, which is
We
currently
have a
strained,
couple of water supply areas that are nearby.
and it's just on the other side of the mountain, right? So we're like so
We've
close
seen
to the
it.
source of water, right? We've hiked in that area.
But no, that's not Chingasa. You're confusing it.
It's over there. I mean, we can't get everything 100% factual in what we're saying on this.
But you should.
We do our
It's
best.
not Chingasa.
The area that is between the mountains behind us and Chingaza, which I confuse for Chingaza.
Anyways, let's move on.
Vamos a siguiente.
Sí, que sigue.
Sigue, que sí.
Walkability, which is a very important aspect for the both of us because we don't own a car. We don't want to own a car unless it's strictly necessary. So walking places is very important for us.
Yeah, in terms of walkability, comparing the two cities, Mexico City to me, right off the bat, wins. Everything felt so much more uniform in the sidewalks, more flat, bigger walking spaces throughout the entire city. I mean, we walked from Nevada Poniente
Navarte Poniente.
Nevarte Poniente to Zocalo,
Zocalo.
pretty much. And it felt just so smooth to walk. There weren't all these different obstructions, whereas in Bogota, there are areas where it is really clean and very nice, more so towards the mountains, but as you go towards like the western side of the city or the southern part of the city, which we are also familiar with as well, there's just like these obstructions and there's these really large curbs that are like 2 feet high, like this tall, and it's just more difficult to walk around at ease because of the way things are designed. And so we think that Mexico City had done a much better job of their city planning than Bogota for walkability. Although you can walk everywhere you need to go in both cities, it's just that the sidewalks are much bigger in
The experience
Mexico City.
is a lot more pleasant
Yeah.
in Mexico City. Like Johnny mentioned, the sidewalks are a lot larger. So also you don't have people like constantly on your space walking next to you as it does happen in Bogota
Yes.
because the sidewalks are a lot smaller. And yeah, we have a lot of infrastructure issues with our sidewalks and with our pedestrian friendly areas. Definitely the verdict goes to Mexico City.
Mexico City. Woo.
Walkability rate, let's give it 85 out of 100.
Yo soy de acuerdo. Proximity to the United States. Which country is closer to the United States?
I mean, do we really need to ask that
I'm
question?
going to ask that question. Go. What do you have to say? Which one's closer? Do you even know?
Wait, how does Trump want to come Mexico?
What?
No.
Yeah.
Mexico.
But what's important about this is that there's a bigger shared culture, even though obviously there are political fights, between the two countries. They're actually more married than you would think. There are a lot of American businesses inside Mexico. Like we would just go to the mall and I'm like, oh, I know that store. And there were a lot of other products that I was very familiar with buying in the United States that were in Mexico City. And I loved that there were things there that I cannot find in Bogota that we often ship to ourselves.
Yeah.
And so I loved that about Mexico City because like obviously we know two languages, Espanol y Inglés, and we enjoy both worlds, the United States and Latin America. So Mexico City actually felt just more familiar for two reasons: the shared culture of both places.
Yeah. Also, it's obviously cheaper to fly to Mexico City, at least from Dallas, Texas,
Yes.
where your family lives.
It's only about half the distance.
Exactly. So, I mean, obviously the verdict goes to Mexico. If you guys have made it to this part of the video, you can see that we love Mexico City. We love their food culture. We love the proximity to the United States. We love the walkability of the city. There are many reasons why we love Mexico City. So you may wonder, why do we continue to choose to live in Bogota, Colombia?
In the shortest way to answer this question, it is La Familia. There's
Family.
zero family in Mexico City and too much to count in Bogota, Colombia. So being close to family is just such a stronger pool for us, especially Whitney's parents. So that is a big reason why we have slowly over time made Bogota, Colombia our home base. Even though there are other places that we've started to discover, like we like this city more for these reasons and X, Y, and Z. It cannot replace family, and I think a lot of people would agree
With
for
that
themselves
statement,
with
yeah.
that statement. Whether you're Latino or American or whatever culture, like being close to family provides so much more emotional benefit, and that's why we choose to stay.
That
in
is why
Bogota.
we choose to stay. When we first came here, it was very important for me to build a relationship with my parents and with my siblings. And we've done that. We've been able to create stronger bonds with them. And then the other day, you said something to me that was very heartwarming because
don't
you
remember.
said you said that you had never experienced this type of family support, and that was like a strong pull for you to stay
yeah,
here.
because the way I grew up, and especially with my extended family, is that all of them live in Oregon and Washington, which is about as far as Columbia is away from Texas. I grew up in Texas, right? So that I only saw these people like once a year, and unlike being here in Bogota, I can go see these people like every single week, and it has made a real difference to me emotionally, truthfully, and that's why we stay. I mean, it just has made a big difference to me emotionally. ¿Qué más?
Lloremos.
we're wrapping up this video. Let us know your thoughts below. Is there a topic that we didn't mention that we should have compared between these two cities? Do you agree with our comparison? Do you think it sucks? Just let us know. We obviously choose Bogota for many reasons, but as we start to do this adventure life in other places, Bogota is continuing to just be our home base, and that's why we stay.
And this is just a fun comparison. We love both cities. They both offer different things, and whichever one you choose it based on your preferences and not just based off what other people on the internet say. Just go and experience both and then see what your vibe is, where you feel best in.
Yeah, that's our biggest word of advice. Go experience both, or whatever you want to go experience, and then start to form your educated and emotional opinion about those places. With that said, peace, love, and rock and roll.
Let's talk about transportation, which makes a big difference when you're living in a big city long term. Let's start again because you didn't. It was you. You need.
I can cut it. So I'm blinking real hard. It's all good.
Do not ramble. Stop the rambling. The ramble.
Water supply and infrastructure. Who has the fresher water?
Oh my God, ask me again. Cause
You don't like the way I
you
asked?
just looked at me. Okay, no, try again.
Water supply and infrastructure.
No, wait.
Water supply and infrastructure.
Okay.
Water supply and infrastructure. Who has the freshest water?
It's funny when you say it like that. What is freshest water? Anyways,
So I know we do a lot of fun stuff like hot air balloon rides, Day of the Dead festivals, hanging out at the beach. But the reality of our travel journey across the world is spending a lot of days like this. Just like this. Look at me. Here is my desk and work area for the day. Here, take the camera. Show them this. This is as comfortable as I can possibly get in this apartment with this tiny little couch. This is it. Sometimes I work like this. Sometimes like this. Sometimes I gotta stand up.
we need to go to the terrace. I'm cold.
And this apartment is at the very bottom of this entire building, so there's not a lot of natural light coming in here, so it's kind of depressing. So we end up going to the terrace.
That's the window.
Yeah, check out our awesome view. And let me show you this awesome view that we have. I'm just speechless, It just, I'm speechless. Here's all our trash that we need to take out. Here's this tiny kitchen. And another thing to keep in mind, and the reality is that we like to spend less on an accommodation so that we can do more activities and eat a whole lot of food. So this is the kitchen that we've been working with for about 3 weeks from the time of hitting the record button here. So this has been an interesting kitchen to work with. We like to cook often, so having only 2 burners, and it's not even like an attached burner. Look at this thing.
Esa cocineta.
This makes me laugh. Should probably leave that unplugged. This is our life. Let me show you the rest of this place.
That's our closet.
This is our closet to hold our clothes. This area is actually quite relatively functional, I think.
Kind of large, too.
It's kind of large for a bedroom, more closet space, I should say. And then a tiny bathroom. It's doable. It's where we shower and poop and everything.
I don't want to keep brushing my teeth.